Something is watching you. You can feel it before you see it. That prickle on the back of your neck, that strange, sudden silence in the trees. And then, through the shadows, you see it. Still. Low, eyes locked onto yours. And every single cell in your body says one thing: run. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The moment you run, you die. Not because the predator is faster than you, not because you're weaker, but because the moment you bolt, you flip a switch inside the predator's brain. A switch that cannot be unflipped. And what that switch is, and why you have an identical one inside you, reveals something ancient and terrifying about the creature still hiding in your nervous system. Stay until the end. The last part will change how you read every dangerous situation you'll ever face. Let's go back, way back. Not to your childhood, way further. For millions of years, your ancestors lived outside. Not outside like a camping weekend, outside like every shadow could end them. Lions, leopards, cave bears, hyenas, saber-toothed cats. These animals were not afraid of humans. We were the prey, not the hunters. The prey, smaller, slower, no claws, no fangs, no armor. The only thing standing between your ancestors and being eaten alive was a brain. And over millions of years, that brain learned something that changed everything. It learned to read the predator before the predator moved. Here's the thing most people get completely wrong about predators. They imagine it like a movie. Predator sees human, predator attacks, credits roll, but that is not how predators work at all. A lion lying in the grass is not in attack mode. A bear watching you from 40 meters away is not hunting you. A mountain lion crouched on a rock is not committed to anything yet. Predators exist in different behavioral states. And the most dangerous thing, the single action almost guaranteed to push them over the edge, is to run. Scientists call what happens next the predatory chase response. And once it fires, everything changes. Here is what is actually happening inside the predator's brain. Predatory behavior follows a fixed sequence. Researchers call it the predatory motor pattern. It goes like this: eye, orient, stalk, chase, grab, kill. That is the sequence every predator runs through, and here is the critical part. Most of the time, most predators are stuck somewhere in the early stages. Orienting, watching, calculating. They are not fully committed to an attack. They are running a risk assessment. But the moment something bolts, a very specific system inside the predator's brain fires. There are neurons, dedicated, singular-purpose neurons, whose only job is to detect one thing: fleeing prey. Not still prey, not slow prey. Fleeing prey. And when those neurons activate, the stalk phase gets skipped entirely. The predator jumps straight to chase, and it is no longer making a decision. It is running on pure, ancient biological autopilot. Ethologist John Laundré studied this for years. In 2001, researching elk and wolves in Yellowstone, he coined a phrase that changed how scientists think about predator behavior. He called it the landscape of fear. He found that prey animals, elk, deer, rabbits, were not just afraid of where predators were. They were afraid of where predators might be, and they organized their entire lives around that invisible map. Why? Because they had learned the same lesson your ancestors learned. It is not the bite that kills you, it is the moment you become a target, and you become a target the moment you move like prey. Let's make this personal. Imagine you are hiking. You come around a bend and there it is. A mountain lion, maybe 20 meters away, crouched, watching. Still as stone. Adrenaline hits your bloodstream before your conscious mind even processes what you're seeing. Your heart rate jumps from 70 to 160 in under 2 seconds. Your hands start shaking. Your legs want to go right now. And here is the brutal, counterintuitive, deeply uncomfortable truth. The thing that feels the most natural in that moment is the thing most likely to get you killed. The National Park Service, studying mountain lion encounters across the American Southwest, found a consistent pattern. People who turned and ran were significantly more likely to trigger a pursuit than people who held their ground. The same pattern shows up in bear encounters, in wolf encounters, in documented cases with hyenas and leopards in sub-Saharan Africa. The running did not save them. It signed the contract because they weren't running away from a predator. They were running into the predator's targeting system. And the system said, prey confirmed. So what do you actually do? You stand still. You hold your ground. You make eye contact. You make yourself look as large as possible. You speak in a low, calm, firm voice. These instructions feel completely insane when you are looking at something that weighs 250 pounds and has teeth built to snap a femur. But they work, and they work for the exact same reason running does not. When you hold your ground, you do not activate the chase sequence. You keep the predator in the early stages of its decision tree. Orienting, calculating, assessing. And here is something people always forget about predators. They are deeply risk-averse. A predator that gets injured in a failed attack cannot hunt. A predator that cannot hunt starves. So every attack is a gamble, and predators only gamble when the odds are clearly in their favor. A large, upright, noise-making, eye contact-holding human being does not look like easy prey. It looks like something that might fight back. And most of the time, the predator looks at you, runs the calculation, and decides. Not worth it. But here is the question underneath all of this. If standing your ground works better, why does every cell in your body scream at you to run? Why didn't evolution just build a calmer, smarter response into the system? This is where it gets really interesting, because the urge to run is not a flaw. It is ancient, perfectly calibrated software. For millions of years, the right response to a predator depended entirely on the situation. If you had distance and warning, running was the correct call. You could reach a tree, a cliff, a group, safety. The problem is running from close range, from ambush range. Because at close range, you have already lost the speed. War before it started. A lion runs at 80 kilometers an hour. A cheetah hits 120. A grizzly bear, despite looking like a slow animal, can reach 55 kilometers an hour. You, at your very best on a flat track, top out at around 24. You are not winning that race. Your ancient ancestors figured this out the hard way, and they discovered something older than running, something that predates fight or flight entirely: the freeze response. Scientists call it tonic immobility in animals. You have seen it your whole life without knowing what it was. A rabbit that goes completely rigid when threatened. A possum going dead still, heart rate dropping, breathing almost stopping. A deer standing absolutely motionless, even as headlights approach. These are not accidents, not simple fear. They are the oldest anti-predator technology on the planet, because the predatory chase circuit is triggered by movement. And no movement means no signal. In documented studies of large predators and their prey, researchers have observed predators walking within meters of a frozen animal and not attacking. Not because the predator was blind, but because the visual system hunting for the movement signal got nothing back. And here is the part that connects directly to you. This response is still in your nervous system right now. You have felt it. Think about the most scared you have ever been. Not startled, not anxious, truly, deeply, primal scared. Did you run? Or did you go completely still, feel time slow down, feel your whole body go cold and quiet? Most people in genuine extreme fear freeze first. That is not weakness. That is 400 million years of survival code doing exactly what it was designed to do. Now, here is what your ancient ancestors understood beyond just freezing. They read the predator. Survival on the open savanna was a negotiation. Anthropologists who study traditional hunter-gatherer communities, people who still live in direct contact with large predators today, find something remarkable and consistent. They talk to the animals, not literally in language, but they vocalize. They move deliberately. They project calm authority. The Hadza of Tanzania, one of the last surviving true hunter-gatherer groups on Earth, share territory with lions. They walk at night, sometimes without weapons. They use fire, confident body language, and noise to signal one thing: not prey, not worth it. And it works. Not every time, but far more often than running ever would. This knowledge used to be carried in the body, passed through experience, lived in the bones of people who could not afford to get it wrong. We have largely forgotten it. Because we grew up somewhere the predators are different. And this is the part I really want you to sit with. Because the predatory chase response is not limited to animals with claws and teeth. It runs in human beings too. Think about conflict, a confrontation. What happens when someone senses weakness, when someone backs down too fast, when someone looks away, shrinks, retreats? The pressure intensifies. What happens in a negotiation when one side blinks first, the other side pushes harder? What happens when a child runs from a bully? The bully follows. This is not human evil. This is the same ancient circuit running in a different context. The predatory response to fleeing prey is so old, so deep in the architecture of living things, that it surfaces across social and cognitive situations too. A mugger is statistically more likely to follow someone who runs than someone who stops and turns. Dominance hierarchies in every social species, from wolves to primates to humans, are built on the same principle. Movement signals vulnerability. Stillness signals status. We even know this in the language we've built across thousands of years. Don't let them see you sweat. Stand your ground. Hold the line. We have been saying this in every culture on Earth forever. We just didn't know the neuroscience behind why. Now you do. Let's zoom all the way out. For millions of years, your ancestors were small things in a very large and hungry world. They should not have survived. They were outrun, outclawed, outfanged. But they survived because they understood something that did not require language to learn. Stillness is not passivity. Stillness is a signal. It says, I have read this situation. I am not reacting blindly. I am not prey. The freeze, the held gaze, the calm, low voice, the body that does not bolt. These are not just tactics for a mountain lion encounter. They are the oldest negotiation tools your species possesses. And they work because every predator, four-legged or two-legged, is always running the same ancient calculation. Is this worth it? Is this target easy enough to pursue? Your ancestors spent millions of years learning to make the answer no. They passed that knowledge down, not in books, in your nervous system. The next time you feel the urge to run from a confrontation, from a hard moment, from something that frightens you, understand what is happening. Your ancient brain is firing. It is doing what it was built for, but now you have something your ancestors had to learn through blood and loss. You have the knowledge before the encounter. You know that running changes the equation. You know that the moment you flee, you activate something in whatever is facing you that becomes very hard to stop. Standing still is not courage for its own sake. It is the deepest survival code your species ever wrote, encoded across millions of years of being chased through grasslands in the dark. The code says one thing: don't run. Not because you aren't scared, but because you understand what running costs. Your ancestors stood still in the dark and stared back at the eyes watching them, and that is why you are here.